The U.S. Senate has been known to produce some real freak fucks. I mean, really. The latest is this Senator John Kennedy. And he used a Senate hearing yesterday on, ironically, hate crime to spew hate against the witness who was sitting in front of him. And when I saw the clips, I didn't see the entire hearing. I didn't need to see it. John Kennedy is a monster. He is a personification of a Christian fascist. We also got a chance in watching him yesterday to see what the Salem witch trials looked like, and to also see what the various Christian inquisitions looked and sounded like when this Christian Nazi Senator Kennedy showed what it would be like if we were living under Christian fascism, which is a very real possibility with this filthy pig Donald Trump trying to secure the presidency again. Trump is not a Christian fascist. Trump is just a pure fascist and a psychopath. But the Christian demons who are lurking in the shadows just waiting for Trump to get the presidency will put into full force what we saw yesterday from John Kennedy. Maybe it was Tuesday. I'm sorry. It wasn't Thursday. It was Tuesday. My bad. I mean, it wasn't Wednesday. It was Tuesday. But what happened was the director of the Arab American Institute, a woman named Maya Berry, she appeared as a witness before the Senate Judiciary Committee to testify on hate crimes. And Muslims in this country, as is true with Jews, with gay folk, with election officials, have been the object of hate crime. Now, I realize there's a difference. When I say election officials, they've been the object of death threats and pure, simple hate. This is what Christians are known for. They're known for their hatred, even to the point where they will tell anybody other than their own tribe that if you don't believe what we believe, your ass will burn in a lake of fire for all eternity. I mean, come the fuck on. I mean, what is that brotherly love? I don't think so. But anyway, there she sat, Maya Berry, the executive director of the Arab American Institute. And in both her prepared statement and her testimony, she was there to tell lawmakers of the need for stronger enforcement of the laws already in existence and some new ones, if necessary, to confront this growing virus of hate crimes that is occurring in this country. And that comes specifically from the Christian fascists, led by Donald Trump. And again, I've said it before, you don't see a concentrated effort by Jews to put out hate in this country. You don't see a concentrated effort by Muslims to put out hate in this country, or Buddhists, or Hindus, or people who might worship their living room chair. I mean, this kind of putrid hate comes specifically from one section of this country, and it is the majority section, Christians, the religion that constantly whines and bitches about how it's treated so unfairly. And yet, 90% of every government office in this country is run by Christians? It shows to me, I mean, it really does. It shows to me the psychotic nature of this religion. Once you become part of it, and most people don't have a choice because they're brainwashed into it when they're children. But once you become part of it, you're willing to accept the role of victim. But I digress. Maya Berry, in her testimony in front of this fucking Kennedy creature, she acknowledged that both Jews and Arab Americans are victims of hate crimes. And she brought with her statistics on those crimes and how it has effect on all demographic groups. It's not just Jews. It's not just Muslims. And she included Asian Americans, African Americans. If there's one group that could talk about being the focus of hate crimes, it would be our black brothers and sisters, right? And also members of the LGBTQ community. Now, you really have to strain to try to imagine how this filthy pig, John Kennedy, was able to take issue with Maya Berry's comments, other than to interrogate how effective the hate crime enforcement laws in this country really are. But it's been reported as a shocking display. Kennedy demonstrated that he is not a reasonable person. Reasonable? This fuckwad? John Kennedy? This slimy white man from Louisiana? Oh my God. So instead of using the hearing for what it was designed to be and what it was promoted as, he used the hearing as an opportunity to attack Maya Berry on a racist basis. I mean, it was just incredible. Shortly after beginning to question Miss Berry, this white devil, this white Christian, abruptly said, "You support Hamas, do you not?" And she answered, "Senator, oddly enough, I'm going to say thank you for that question because it demonstrates the purpose of our hearing today in a very effective way." But this white devil interjected, "Let's start first with a yes or no." Ms. Berry responded, "Hamas is a foreign terrorist organization that I do not support. But you're asking the executive director of the Arab American Institute that question, and it very much puts the focus on the issue of hate in this country." "You support Hezbollah too, don't you?" Kennedy interjected, implying that he absolutely was just going to lift his stinky leg and piss all over her answer about Hamas. And at that point, Ms. Berry replied, "I find this line of questioning extraordinarily disappointing." And this white devil said, "Is that a no?" She answered, "I don't support violence, whether it's Hezbollah or Hamas or any other entity that invokes it. So no, sir." And then Kennedy opened up. "You just can't bring yourself to say no, can you?" I mean, what the fuck? How many times did the woman have to say no to this brain-dead lump of white shit that was sitting there questioning her? Even though Miss Berry's answer couldn't have been more clear. No, 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 no. So he continued this bullshit, asking Miss Berry if she supports or opposes Iran, quote, "and their hatred of Jews," end quote. Now, the truth is that this filthy pig, John Kennedy, would be the first Christian to stand in line to burn every Jew to death, because what Mr. Kennedy believes, of course, since he's an unreconstructed pre-Vatican II, whatever it was, conference, he still believes that the Jews killed his Messiah, his loving, sweet Messiah, that now poisons his fucking brain with all of this trash that comes bubbling out when he has someone like Miss Berry to pour it onto. And after Berry said no, she didn't support Iran, Kennedy then questioned why she criticized the U.S. decision to cut funding to the UN agency that aids Palestinian civilians as a moral failure. And let me add, of course it's a moral failure. The UN agency that supports Palestinians was not supporting terrorism or Hamas, but in this sick fuck lump of white terror named Senator Kennedy, he can't tell the difference. An Arab is an Arab is an Arab. A Jew is a Jew is a Jew. A Negro is a Negro is a Negro. A queer is a queer is a queer. Right down the line. That's how these bastards think. So he added this: "You can't bring yourself to say you don't support the UN agency, you don't support Hamas, you don't support Hezbollah, and you don't support Iran. You should hide your head in a bag." End quote. When I saw that clip yesterday, and then this lump of white filth leaned back in his chair in a very satisfied, venomous look on his face, like he had just scored tremendous points for his Lord and Savior, Donald Trump. It's been called a shameful display. I would go much further than that. The reason she was called Miss Berry, the head of this Arab American organization, the reason she was even called to testify is because she's an expert from a civil rights organization. And she was called to talk about the domestic issue of hate crimes. And this lump of white poison sat there and dumped the most filthy rhetoric on her that he could come up with. And Kennedy was only interested in smearing her because she's an Arab American witness. And he did so not by referring to her past conduct or positions. Has she been a terrorist? Has she thrown bombs? Has she invaded Israel? Has she killed Jews? No, he put words in her mouth and then refused to accept any of her contradictions or her statements as being true. And in an interview with NBC after the hearing, this white lump of shit said that he was correct to question Miss Berry because he says that, quote, her website says she's a Democratic activist, that she believes Israel is committing genocide, and that Congress should fund the UN. That was the basis on which he unloaded his filthy venom on this woman. And whether it's true or not at her website, and I would question the shit out of that, none of those things have any bearing whatsoever on whether she supports terror organizations. And he also, this white lump of poison, also said, again, lying through his fucking teeth, that she, quote, never would answer whether she supported those entities. How many times did she answer? And the only explanation, as psychotic as it is, but when you're dealing with psychosis, like a lump of white poison, like Senator Kennedy.
I found this on the web.
Oh, be quiet. Why does my watch always talk to me? The only explanation for this lump of white poison's behavior is that he really does believe that because she's an Arab American, that's sufficient to cast her in the same light as Middle Eastern terror organizations. And then there's this. I mean, the poison, the filth that came out of this white lump of shit, Kennedy's mouth, undermines the very idea of having democratic discourse, where the interests of citizens are defined by their actions, by their words, not their race or their gender or what country their family came from, or their sexual orientation. That is bullshit that was instituted into our political system by these Christian devils. The Jews did not inject this. The Muslims didn't. The Hindus didn't. No religious group did in this country. They have their own problems, those groups, in their home countries. But in this country, in the United States, the organization that started to inject this fucking ridiculous poison was the Christians. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.